So, the question of today is, will chatbots take over social media platforms? I'm thinking especially of Discord just because it's kind of the one I'm most familiar with. I don't know why, I've just been thinking a lot about it. It feels like something that's inevitable to me because we have ChatGPT. It's really insane how convincing it is, and that kind of bothers me a lot. It's been bothering me a lot, actually. So, I guess, just to start out, is it possible would it be possible, currently even, for this to happen? For these chatbots to exist alongside the player base and people just to, think it was they were talking to people, but it's actually just chatbots. I think it's already possible. This is probably not a surprise to anyone. This has kind of been possible. Chatbots have been fooling people since the 60s or the 70s, I think, and 60s as well, partially. They had, I think it was the 70s. They had a bot. I think it was called Perry. I could be wrong. It was very simple compared to modern standards, obviously, but it would basically search for keywords and then make responses based off those keywords. So they made one to kind of imitate someone who I guess was paranoid, I think, or schizophrenic or something like that. And the psychiatrists couldn't tell accurately if it was, they had two people. I think they had a person, or I don't remember exactly how it worked, but basically they could only guess correctly about 52% of the time whether it was an actual person or if it was the responses generated by the bot, which equates to random guessing, right? And then back in 2007 even, there was kind of these malware bots that just oh, hold up, no. But there was these malware bots, I think, or something. Anyways, but the point of them was to extract information from people, and they could trick people into giving information where they live and and sending them money, basically. So that's again, that's back in 2007. So basically anywhere where people don't expect to be talking with bots, they're a lot more susceptible, right? Because it's just not something we're used to, that having to think about that. So that's, I think, what's concerning. But yeah, obviously they've gotten a lot more advanced since then. So that's bad. It's good, but depending on your point of view, it's bad. Or depending on what happens, right? Anyways, so the question of could they fool people? I think they could. Currently, you see with chatbots, if you talk to them, there's even one on Discord already, but it's it makes it clear that it's a bot. It says things as a AI language learning model, I can't answer this thing. But if they just remove that, because that stuff's hard coded in, you just remove that, and then what do you have? You have something that would say it's a human, because that's what people would say, right? But it's very interesting. And I guess just as my final point of how possible it is, there was kind of an experiment done. I think it was 2022. It was called Human or Not. It was basically a game where you would get matched against either a real person or a bot, and you had to figure out if you're talking to a real person or a bot. So and it was really interesting. I actually did participate in this, and if I have any footage, then you can see it on screen. But it was really difficult to tell. And it's been taken down now, but the results have been published. And so again, 68% were able to correctly identify if it was human. So again, that's just 18% difference between randomly guessing and what people were able to tell. One thing I will say is that people like were kind of trolling and trying to pretend to be a bot. I was one of those people. I would try and get people to think I'm a bot just because it's funny. So that kind of, that messes with the numbers, surely. But one thing I do think is much more significant than that, though, and this pulls in the other direction, is that people knew that there was a 50% chance that they were talking to a bot, right? If you just encountered those bots in the wild, like, people talk like that all the time. You get people who talk like bots as it is, no offense. But it's true. Yeah, we're kind of doomed. In that regard, it's definitely possible. So yeah. Oh, yikes. I'm very lucky that I had that. So let's talk about some potential motives for a company, say, such as Discord, for not just implementing chatbots, which they've already done, but not making it public that you're talking to a bot. What would be the motives for that? Because that's kind of evil. Yeah. So there'd have to be a good reason. I think curiosity. Like, would it actually work, I don't know if that's a good enough motive. I think it is a potential one, though. Even I'm curious. but it's a good thing I'm not in charge of Discord, let's just say. But no, I think that's a motive. I think people will do things not even for money always, just for curiosity. I guess you do have to explain it to the your people that are funding you and stuff. But that can be done, surely. But no, I think another motive, and this kind of is something I've been thinking about. Oh no, bro. It's what ruins a platform? What ruins what makes it a bad experience? And it's it's the people, really, because people are mean and they say bad things. It's like, if you can imagine a platform where it's just really nice and welcoming, like, that's a place people are going to want to be, as long as they don't know that it's just talking to robots. But even then, there's people who kind of make these, I want to say, pseudo friendships, but still, these friendships with these bots, even though they know they're bots and they're not really people, they still do for some reason. Because, oh no, wait, no. Think about the purpose of bots in games. They're kind of there it makes the game feel less lonely, especially if it's like a multiplayer.io game where the entire point is that it's multiplayer, like you're playing against other players. Like, think about this. There was a game a while back, I think it might have been Paper.io, where basically you were just playing single player and you didn't even use the internet connection. But people still had fun because they thought they were winning against real people. And I think that's such an interesting thing, is that it's fun until you realize it's just bots, and I think that's the problem, is that if you do it right, you can still have fun while playing against, you know, bot opponents, as long as you think they're people. But it's just a matter of maintaining that image. And so the purpose of bots in games is not necessarily to fool people, but it certainly does. It certainly can work, especially if they're younger users. Or I mean, it can be any age really. It just depends on how familiar you are with kind of the main concepts. And I have a story about this. So I think it was back in 2015 a game came out. It was called War in Space. Really fun game at the time. Still a fine game. But it was basically just a game where there's two spaceships that you have to defend. It's kind of like, you know, you're playing with Star Wars ships almost, even though it's not, you know, meant to be that directly. But anyways, there used to be a lot of players who played the game back in its peak. And I remember used to be able to join lobbies. If you joined one of the lower rooms, it would just have like one other player and you could have a 1v1, which is kind of funny. But unfortunately, as the years went on, the player count began to dwindle. But I didn't notice because at some point they added in bots. And so I kept playing the game, and because the bots would sometimes use the in-game emojis, I just thought, well, you know, I would use emojis back. Because I thought it was real people. And then, you know, it was like 5 years later, I finally joined the Discord, and then I realized I was just playing with bots the entire time. Now obviously there were still a couple of human players who still played. Like, I'd recognize their usernames when they'd log on, and I did recognize them in the Discord when I joined from the game, which is kind of cool. But I realized, you know, I picked up on the adjective noun trick that they use for the naming scheme, and I was like, oh. It was pretty rough, but it was kind of interesting though still how that kind of ruined the game for me, because, you know, I thought I was playing against people, but even though the gameplay didn't change whatsoever, it's just how I perceived it completely changed. And I think that's what scares me, is if Discord did this. I'm not saying Discord would do this. I don't really think they will, because it is just evil. But if you have bots to replace people, let's say your platform starts dying, but you want to mask it by replacing the people who are leaving with bots. And you could do this in an even worse way. Like, you could do this where, you know, you can, let's say Jimmy left the server. Well, you can keep Jimmy's name and just have a robot impersonate Jimmy, because you can, you know, like, if you wanted to spend all of your money, you could have, you know, a neural network train based off of the messages that the person sent before they left, right? But yeah, that would be very bad. Don't do that. If you guys ever get a huge social media platform. But anyways, it's kind of interesting to think about. Do I think this will happen? I hope not as severely as that. The main problem with them doing it, which is it would be a significant hindrance, is that it's pretty expensive. OpenAI has to spend about $700,000 a month just to keep ChatGPT running. And that sounds not too bad, except that it's actually every day. It's not just per month, so that's really expensive. I don't know if those numbers are up to date. Maybe they found cheaper ways to run it. You probably wouldn't need something as sophisticated as ChatGPT though, because once again, they already have the chatbot running on Discord. If they wanted to, you know, make it or not reveal that it's a bot, they'd have to remove the part that says that it's a bot. But I think that I think it's probably cheaper to just have people talking to people, so you don't have to spend, like, I really don't know, I not up to date. I would imagine that that stuff is expensive to run though, but you know, I guess it's hard to tell. I think one thing you will see is, you know, consulting websites where, you know, you go get your therapy from your AI therapist, except that they won't say that. It'll be like, I don't know, reduced price. It's like, instead of, I don't know, however many dollars an hour, it's like $5 an hour or something. But I don't know. I think thinkers be like, am I right, guys? Anyways, I forgot what I was talking about because I stopped talking mid-sentence and I was gonna talk more this race, but oh my gosh, dude, bro. No. This is a disaster. No. Okay, well, yes, bro. Thank you so much. I think it's inevitable. I know I said it wouldn't happen. I think something's inevitable. Someone's gonna try it at some point. Maybe it's not Discord because I think they're probably doing pretty well. And again, I think any company who tried to do this brand would be ruined. I think if this did happen, the meta for telling who a human was or wasn't would be like video calls and stuff, because that's really expensive for AI to do, I think. At least I think. I could be wrong, but instead of just generating text, you're not just generating text, you're faking life, you know, as Starman would say. Is online communication ruined forever? Yes, obviously. It's the end of the world, guys, so have fun. No, but I do think, well, there's a problem, right? Because the AI bot can be online 24/7 and people can't. The AI bot can, well, once it gets fixed, will never be mean or harsh. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to see, you know, how people, let's say this does happen, how people would, you know, try and figure out if they're talking to people or not, because I think that would be really an interesting problem to figure out when, you know, when the guess rate is 50%, you know, it's, well, we're doomed, right? So it's the Turing test or something. So yeah, I just don't know. I really don't know. I think it'd be hard to trust anyone, you know. So that's cool. Me after playing too much Mario Kart, for you. Yo, the double hit. You know, I'm just gonna play Mario Kart. I'm done. I just want to win now. This is the end of the video, guys.